When Bruce dreams of adventure on those bright skate wheels, he owes his dream to that impatient ancestor who first thought of putting the wheel to work for mankind. Americans, of course, knew a good thing when they saw it, and made the wheel a major tool for building their cities and settling their lands. As a matter of fact, we Americans have always been going places on wheels. Today, almost 70 million cars and trucks move somewhere on an American road every 24 hours. And going somewhere, across the town or across the nation, almost always means, for all or part of the trip, going in the car. Now, chances are that of all the traffic moving back and forth across the country, 8 out of 10 vehicles will pass through the good state of Indiana, whose unofficial motto, understandably enough, could well be Crossroads of America, and a state that, rightfully enough, makes the production of automotive parts and accessories a major activity. This is the case with Anderson, Indiana, whose busy streets follow many an old Delaware Indian trail, and whose buildings cover the site of forgotten camping grounds. Great buildings, like General Motors' Delco Remy division. Statistics: world's oldest and largest producer of automotive electrical equipment. Generators, distributors, horns, starting motors, batteries, and other electrical parts for cars, for trucks, or practically anything that moves. Great buildings like General Motors' Guide Lamp division. Statistics: world's largest manufacturer of automotive lighting equipment. Producer, among other things, of half the country's headlamps. 1,300,000 square feet of plant space under one roof. Big statistics, but not the really big thing about Anderson. Not the really big thing about the Anderson community of nearby towns and villages, where so many of the folks who work at Guide and Delco Remy live. In towns like Elwood, Dublin, Spiceland, Sulphur Springs, Noblesville, Pendleton, Greenfield, and Hobbs, McCordsville, Cicero, Cadiz, and Lapel, Sharpsville, Charlottesville, Fortville, Markleville. From 100 towns in 20 counties, they come to work in the plants of Anderson. To share in the opportunity to make a good living, while helping to make living good in worthwhile outside activities. To share in the chance and the challenge to produce products whose quantity and quality are the key to livelihood, and the key to the leisure occupations of an ever-improving community. So it is that a man like Ralph Fisher, 24 years with Delco Remy, works to help build high standards of character in the boys of the community, just as he works in the plant for high standards. These boys are the raw material of Anderson's future, and they will be tomorrow as they are molded today. Ralph Fisher wants a part in this molding of character, because he is part of Anderson, of what it is today and what it will be after today. And he continues to work for them indirectly in his job in Delco Remy's purchasing department. It takes the products of almost 2,600 different suppliers the nation over to satisfy Delco Remy's appetite for raw materials of all kinds. Obvious supplies like ball bearings, 4,500,000 a year, and machine screws, 300 million a year. But the plant also needs, of all things, hundreds of baby bottle nipples to protect the terminals of starting motors during painting, 3-carat industrial diamonds for grinding operations, perfume by the gallon for use in protective skin creams, and even peach seeds for grinding into abrasives. In a typical year, Ralph Fisher helps Delco Remy spend nearly $18 million in Anderson with some 158 local businesses built in Anderson through Hoosier ingenuity. From such businesses comes the raw material that eventually becomes the automobile batteries, generators, starting motors, horns, distributors, voltage regulators, and ignition coils that are the electrical essentials of every car, bus, and truck. And the good judgment of men like Ralph Fisher helps make Delco Remy go, and go right. Also helps steer Anderson's new generation. Ways of serving others are many for those with hands of many skills. Who would know that these hands are as adept at winding generator coils as they are at collecting money? Who? Well, around this community, just about everybody knows. Because Margaret Toms, sooner or later, gets most everywhere in her fundraising campaigns for local charities. And a holiday for Margaret is a welcome extra day for making more of her rounds, happy in the thought that somewhere a child walks and laughs because of the steps she takes. And where does the money come from? Where did the coins begin their rounds? The answer is easy to take for granted, because it's here, in the business and industry of Anderson. It's as simple as that. For in the making of products people want and buy is the making of the economic well-being that tinkles in Margaret Tom's collection box. A well-being Margaret herself helps bring about at her station on the generator line, a line that puts more than 4 million Delco Remy generators in America's cars in a typical year. The generator is to a car what the powerhouse is to a city. And there's no difference in principle between the husky little electricity maker of the car and the giant generators of the utility company. Headlights, parking lights, stoplights, trunk and dome lights, instrument panel lights, backup lights, cigarette lighter, turn signals, spark plugs, horn, radio, heater, starting motors. All depend on the electricity that this part, turning inside this part, produces. That's why at Delco Remy, every step in making a generator is a marvel of precision manufacture. Every step in testing and checking a marvel of thoroughness. It's that way in the case of batteries, too. Batteries made by 2,600 Delco Remy people in plants in nearby Muncie and in New Brunswick, New Jersey, Olathe, Kansas, and on the West Coast at Anaheim, California. There has to be equal care in the making of any of a car's electrical parts, because each of them does a tremendous amount of unseen work every mile, every foot a car is driven. The contact points in this distributor move too fast for the eye to see. They open and close 60,000 times in a 5-mile trip to the store. The ignition coil delivers to the spark plugs 60,000 electric charges of 15,000 volts each, while the plugs themselves fire an equal number of times. No wonder that here, care of the highest order, skill of the highest order, craftsmanship of the highest order are and have to be routine to produce products that will pass the knowing eyes of men like Wilbur Walford, inspector of starting motors. Those incredible little electric muscle men that so swiftly and easily spin and start a car engine 30 times or more their own size and weight. If any single development made the automobile everybody's way of getting around, it was the electric starting motors, the General Motors development that put sweat, muscle, and cranks out of business as a way of starting a car. Starting motors must be tough, through and through, and Delco Remy has its own unique ways of making sure they are. Heat is an important manufacturing tool to give starter parts the form they need, the ruggedness they need, to do a hard job time and time again. Chemistry is a basic tool to give a critical starting motor part longer life than an automobile itself. Hairline accurate forming and machining operations are basic too. And toughness comes from insulation, built to stand heat, cold, moisture, grease, dust, dirt, vibration, and overload. Toughness also comes from precision assembly. Precision assembly climaxing a manufacturing process that gives each starting motor a perfection gauges and instruments are hard put to measure. And that only the human eye, the human hand, can really understand and appreciate. Here is a perfection that makes a man wonder what will happen to these starting motors. Where will this starting motor go? What will it do? Find itself in the car of a movie star, a congressman, author, mechanic, carpenter, president? Will it help make a man rich, or save a life, or begin a romance, or simply serve a family faithfully through the years? A man can wonder, of course, but he can't do much about a thing like that. There are other things a man like Wilbur Walford can do something about, though. And to do that, he becomes, say, the president of the Board of Deacons of his church. The problem before the Board of Deacons tonight is where to find the space for the growing number of children who want to come to the Sunday school. The church must expand, and that takes money. Of course, the money will be forthcoming. It's there in the community, and some of it will go for the good work of this church. Walford and friends will see to that. And of course, many a brick in this new wing, and many of the good works of all the churches of Anderson will owe their existence to Anderson industry. Anderson's headlamp industry, for example. Owe it to the men and women of the guide lamp division, manager and worker alike, who together make more car, truck, bus, and farm implement headlights than anybody on earth. Guide's contribution to the automotive industry and to the public began in the early days of the automobile. In fact, Guide lighted the night with the first electric headlamp, replacing almost overnight the primitive carbide and kerosene lamps. Guide devised the first adjustable headlight and was first to replace the plain flat glass with a lens that scientifically beams the light down the road ahead. The first true two-beam headlamp with a low beam and a high beam was theirs. And Guide ingenuity resulted in the sealed beam lamp, one of the greatest of all headlamp developments, that seals the lamp's reflector from air and moisture to keep it bright for its entire life. The true dual headlamp is also their development. The improved illumination of this popular dual light was made practical by still another guide first, the T3 safety aiming system. This system provides such fast, accurate, safe adjustment of dual or any type of headlights compared to the older, slower methods that it's now standard in the industry. And the Autronic Eye, the electronic watchman that never blinks, that automatically lowers a car's lights to avoid blinding other drivers, is another example of guide ingenuity. Ingenuity that has broadened Guide's production to include all these products in addition to headlamps. Where does this kind of progress come from? From research laboratories? Yes, of course. From fertile, disciplined minds of development engineers? Of course. From the needs of a nation for better, safer driving? Of course. From dedication to precision craftsmanship by the men and women in the plant? Of course. All these factors, all of these forces working together give each step in the long lamp-making process its efficiency and purpose. Efficiency and purpose in Guide's unique aluminizing process, for example, where a solid piece of aluminum is actually vaporized by electricity for truly uniform spraying on the glass reflector. In the careful placing of the lamp's filaments, where an error of 1,000th of an inch means a beam of light inaccurately aimed by many feet. Efficiency and purpose in the design of this lens that so ingeniously uses the laws of physics to better brighten the night. And in these three simple little glass knobs that give the Guide T3 lamp its name. Once these glass aiming points are precision ground in these electronically controlled machines, they become the optically precise base for the T3 aimer, and thus assure the uncanny accuracy of this ingenious headlight adjusting system. Purpose and efficiency. Nothing wasted, nothing wanted. A place where the men have the machines and the machines the men. The men who make the most of the saving wonders of turning out exactly the same article, exactly the same way, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, 50 million times. The machines have the men. Woody Townsend, master worker in chrome. Son, Terry Townsend, master Chevrolet soapbox derby racer, 20th national champion. And also, master model builder, member of the Fisher Body Craftsman's Guild. The machines have the men. Jake Maddox, vocation, die setter. Avocation, president, Lions Club, Cadiz, Indiana. Founder, sponsor, Troop 76, Cub Scouts of America. Past president, the Cadiz Cooperative Telephone Company. World War II crew chief, 1st Marine Air Wing. Farmer, hog raiser. John Ent, Department 392. $1,000 award winner in 1956 in the General Motors Suggestion Plan. $1,500 award winner in 1957 in the General Motors Suggestion Plan. John Ent, boating enthusiast, family man. The processes have the men. Ernest Seekley, experience, owner-operator of the Ernest Seekley Plastics Plant, Budapest, Hungary. Present job, plastic die maker, Guide Lamp Division, Anderson, Indiana, USA. The future has its men and women. Marcia Gillian, occupation, high school student. Activity today, touring the Guide plant along with other Anderson students to broaden her understanding of modern production processes. Possible future employer, guide lamp for Delco Remy. Interest, business administration. The machines, the processes, the techniques have their men and women. Buyer, maintenance supplies, utility man, OK inspector, punch press operator, typist, operator broaching machine, supervisor, clerk, operator auditing machine, operator Kingsbury multiple spindle machine, office machine tabulating technician, metal pourer. Thousands of trained men and women pass through the gates of Guide and Delco Remy daily. Thousands of specific, individual, personalized, hard-won skills. Skills turned at shift's end in still other worthwhile directions. It may be fun and recreation and relaxation in dozens of activities in the plant. Perhaps learning to make a cake, as good to look at as it is to taste. Joining in song with the 55 other voices of the Delco Remy chorus. Or getting ready for summer fun by learning the fine art of tying a casting fly. Creative activities give imagination and originality a place to go and grow big. Designing entries for the annual Parade du Chapeau. Or making a lampshade from a handful of wire and fabric. Of course, for many, a sport like bowling means pleasure and new friends in spare time hours. While others rediscover in a leisure moment the fascination that has kept the square dance close to people's hearts through the centuries. Or, Ship's End may mean popular Kilbuck Park, developed by the people of Guide and Delco Remy for the people of Guide and Delco Remy. Kilbuck grew because employer and employee alike recognize community of interest and responsibility beyond the job, as well as on the job. And this will keep Kilbuck growing. It will keep Anderson and the Anderson community growing, as it helps build, for example, the additional hospital facilities that underlie the good life anywhere. For here's a town, 100 towns, that welcome hard, honest work, where a man can live in security and dignity today and after today, where a man and a woman and their children can make a dream come true. Above all, a place that responds to the two reasons for man's progress: the hope in his heart and the strength in his hand.